Hello, everyone. My name's Catherine Milleron. This is Make It Make Sense, and it is Monday, March 31st. Can't believe it's the last day of March. I live in Kentucky, so we are coming up on Derby season. And Derby, I know, is only one day, and they say it's the most exciting 3 minutes in sports. But we begin our celebrations in April and all the way up until the Derby. So it's one of my favorite things. I'm excited. Love this time of year. So I come here with today to give you what I call, what I've heard other people say as a term, hopium, because we just get so much bad news, and it's nice to be able to report some good news. So I follow a creator on YouTube. Her name is Rosie. Her page is Rosie Insights. And Rosie is a psychic, and I kind of take psychics with a grain of salt, and it's all about energy for me and how I feel about that person and energetically. And I really like her because what she does is she comes with articles and news information, and then she will ask her guides, her spirit guides, like, what's going on with this. She does it right there on the video and seeks out answers to her questions. So anyway, she had the last video she did, well, the one before the last, she did another one today, but this one was yesterday. And it is an article that's on Substack. The creator on here, his name on Substack is the West Point history professor. His name is Terrence Goggin. He is a former West Point history professor, Harvard University Kennedy Fellow, a California legislator, and attorney. So that's a little bit about him. And I'm going to read you the article that he wrote. And hopefully it will give you some hope, just like it gave me. The befuddled Trump team haven't read All the President's Men. They should do so now. The new president's men, he's got that in quotes, have been deeply penetrated. The Trump team has been exposed as profoundly, stupidly arrogant. And that goes for everyone involved on their side of the table. Politics is like showbiz. You can't fake talent or basic competence. And you cannot hide the lack of brains. I love that. All right. Okay. So it says, number one, summary. The significance of a highly effective cell operating deep in the Pentagon and National Security Council cannot be overestimated. It is a time-tested, clandestine art of the leak to disrupt, humiliate, and expose an opponent's mistakes to reduce or eliminate their power. I've been on both sides of this technique. I know it when I see it. The first leaker alerted the New York Times to the fact that a civilian without security clearance or need to know was being read in on top secret plans to defend Taiwan. Of course, that was Elon Musk. The second leak was on The Atlantic by someone, it's in quotes, who added the editor of The Atlantic using his private cell phone number on Signal. Signalgate. To the text thread of a meeting, reportedly at the Palm Steakhouse, steps from the White House, in a private dining room in Washington. No Navy hamburgers or fries in the White House mess near the secure situation room. In the basement for these guys. Absolutely not. I love that. The Signal text thread just happened to be, as luck would have it, of the Vice President, Secretary of Defense, and other officials discussing and approving exact times and places of missile attacks on the Houthis' leadership in Yemen. Neither could have happened without a clandestine operation informing and manipulating the media. The repercussions are being felt at this very moment in the Oval Office, where it's all being called a witch hunt. Isn't that what Donald Trump says about everything that gets revealed about him? Okay. The three factors are at play here. Three factors are at play here. First, the exposure of the meetings were not a happy coincidence, the result of a bumbling Secretary of Defense. It was by design. The media became aware of sensitive information by execution of a deliberate plan, not by chance. Second, it was extraordinarily effective. It was so well executed that it could only be an insider who meticulously planned the leak for maximum effect. Third, there is silence and mystery around who did it. There is a lack of evidence as to who the specific person is who sourced the information to the press. It could be attributable to a wide group of informed people. The case of Deep Throat, Deputy FBI Director Mark Felt, and Watergate. If it's very clean and everybody is mystified, then there is a motivating force at work. If you have a serious opponent on your hands, it's the second coming of Deep Throat. That would be Mark Felt, Nixon's deputy director of the FBI, the Bureau's second highest ranking post. Contrary to accepted wisdom, he was not the instrument of Woodward and Bernstein. They, along with the Washington Post, were his instruments to bring down President Richard Nixon. Felt abhorred Nixon for his criminal conduct, for undermining the rule of law, for asserting he was above the law. If the president does it, it's not illegal. He found Woodward. They didn't find him. Early on in the Watergate scandal, he identified Woodward, an acquaintance and a cub reporter for the Post, covering the local criminal courts building, covering the arrested Watergate burglars. He knew something weird was going on with a CIA operative arrested for burglary, but not quite realizing what it was. Deep Throat knew exactly what was going on because the conspiracy involved the FBI. Woodward, by his own admission, would have been unable to figure it out. The rest is history. Mark Feld was so secret that he was never identified. Only as he lay dying 34 years later did he reveal himself. A powerful force at work. These leaks are front page news. As I'm writing this, just days after the leak of the Palm Steakhouse War Plans meeting and less a week after the Musk Pentagon fiasco. It's been front page every day with the widening story of the continuous, damaging, unrelenting coverage, the headlines bordering on the absurd. White House uses semantics to downplay gravity of signal leak. This is on par with the Onion headline, "Man Bites Dog" story, but it's devilish on its snap and crackle. None of the usual Trump denials seem to be working. His national security team is rapidly unraveling, and it's by devilish design. I love it. So sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. I love it. A powerful force is attacking the administration from inside, just like Deep Throat. Only it's not one person, it's a cell, a small, well-planned secret team. Secret team. I hope so. This is amazing. This is such good news. Empowered by unknown actors we may or may not ever find out, Musk realizes this and he's infuriated and visited the Pentagon Monday demanding an immediate investigation of who did this to him. They're all lies, he said. They're all lies. Oh, God. And the next section is the leaks were about the meetings taking place, not the operating plans themselves, although the Houthi meeting did discuss the means and method of the attack. What's interesting is that both involved operating plans, the most sensitive and highly prized information that exists. Both leaks involved the disclosure of the existence of a meeting to discuss those plans in two different media. The New York Times, owned and controlled by Ox-Sulzberger family. By the Ox-Sulzberger family, notoriously rich and independent, and the Atlantic magazine owned by Laurene Powell Jobs, a billionaire many times over, neither can be intimidated by Trump's threats, as could Jeff Bezos, owner of the Washington Post, or the television networks with federal licenses that could be suspended or canceled. The two leaks were thought through at a granular level. Let's take a look at each affair individually. Okay. Oh my gosh, I have a hard time navigating this laptop. It's new to me and oh. Okay. Okay, the Musk Pentagon tank briefing. This is the clearest example of someone. This is the clearest example. Someone contacted the New York Times with a copy of a written order to brief Musk on the operational plans to oppose a massive invasion. Oh my goodness gracious. There we go. Sorry. Okay. To oppose a massive invasion of Taiwan by the People's Liberation Army Navy. Plan. PLAN. The order was signed by the Secretary of Defense and endorsed by the President. The Joint Chiefs of Staff would have demanded that such a written order before they would agree to brief Musk on their operational plan to stop a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. The Times would have demanded to see it before publishing the story. How did the Times get such a written order? It's straightforward. Hegseth wanted to impress the richest man in the world with Washington's coin of the realm, a highly classified briefing of the United States plan to target Chinese logistical bases and tactics to defeat the planned attack across the Taiwan Strait. Hold on just a second. All right. The Joint Chiefs of Staff had refused to brief Musk without a written order, which makes sense. Someone transmitted the written order instructing the Joint Chiefs to brief Musk to the New York Times, 12 hours before the briefing was to take place. In order for this to reach its 10 million digital subscribers worldwide, it wasn't leaked days before, but mere hours before, giving the administration little or no time to react. Musk was on his way to the Pentagon for the briefing when it hit the internet. Thunk! The knife stuck deep up into the heart of the administration. Deadly. Think of what would have happened if Kennedy's complex plan to rid Russian missiles from Cuba had been permanently exposed to the front page of the New York Times. In fact, it was prematurely exposed. It was prematurely deduced by the legendary Scotty Reston of the New York Times. President Kennedy personally called Orville Dreyfus, the publisher of the Times, to ask him to hold off on the story until Kennedy's TV announcement of a naval quarantine the following day. The Times did as the president requested, since nuclear war was at risk. Not much mystery here. The Pentagon cell wanted the meeting canceled, but more happened than meets the eye. When the order was leaked at the very last minute, it was total chaos inside the tank, the super secret briefing room, alight with slides of maps of an invasion in progress, and U.S. Pacific forces counterattacking with stealth bombers. taking out the Chinese long-range radars and satellites. All very exciting and entertaining. The briefing was immediately canceled by the White House, with briefers standing by to begin it. They were in the outside corridor in full view of the press. The embarrassment and immediate outrage by congressional national security leaders was more than sufficient to kill the meeting. Trump denied it even existed, except his denial rang hollow. The Times had a copy of his order authorizing the disclosure to Musk of the nation's most important secrets. Musk was hustled off to Hegseth's office while the Pentagon staff remained assembled in the tank, ready to actually brief him. Hegseth had to tell Musk it was canceled after inviting him to it. They met for an hour in embarrassed small talk. Then Musk was escorted out of the building. Interesting. Let's see what's next. This is a good story. And it's really good because it's true. Note, the cell planned the leak for a maximum public and private embarrassment to hold Hegseth and Musk, to both Hegseth and Musk, but also to expose the president as a danger to national security. A big danger. I still want to know why he felt like that Elon Musk needed to be briefed on this. I still don't know what that was about. I'm just glad it was stopped. A big danger. Hegseth's power to impress Musk turned out to be ephemeral, non-existent. Hegseth was obviously not in charge. Trump was in charge, and he canceled the meeting. Musk was publicly blindsided. A juicy briefing on China would have been very useful to impress his friends and business partners in China. Now, why is this incident indicative of a cell of organized opposition? It's quite simple. In a normal freshman administration, the Pentagon would assign military aides to camp, and staff officers wearing aiguillettes and braided gold cord worn off the shoulders of the aide's uniform. They were very experienced and smart colonels and brigadier generals. They can be seen bustling about the White House or on the third floor of the E-Ring in the SecDex Suite 3E880. They are there to quietly and diplomatically advise the secretary and his political aides regarding the laws and regulations and norms of behavior pertaining to and expected of the Secretary of Defense, precisely to avoid embarrassing mistakes. So this Musk affair could all have been handled behind closed doors and quietly canceled without embarrassing the defense secretary, humiliating Musk, and damaging the president. But no, there was no quiet advice explaining what could happen if a word got out on a civilian who had no clearances and no need to know, was briefed on the nation's top secrets. The leak was timed for a last-minute shock without warning for maximum public damage and embarrassment. This was not an accident, but a deadly strike. The Hegseth-Walz text meeting at the Palm Steakhouse. Today, the New York Times reported from Kingston, Jamaica, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that somebody made a big mistake by adding a journalist to a Signal group text of 13 members of Trump's national security team discussing strikes on the Houthi leadership, while Hegseth and Walz were reportedly dining at the Palm Steakhouse in Washington, blocks away from the White House. This was no mistake. This was a well-planned clandestine operation. How could it be otherwise? Really, how is the editor of The Atlantic added to a secret encrypted thread of a secret meeting discussing operational secrets of a secret combat mission to take place within hours? editors of prominent magazines just don't drop out of the internet, either to be added to an encrypted signal communication of a highly classified discussion specifying the time, place, and type of fighter bomber scheduled to implement missile strikes within hours. If this was a Marx Brothers comedy, including martinis, steak fries, and juicy steaks at the Palm Steakhouse in Washington, it would be very funny. It's far too serious for that. The meeting was to decide on war. It used a civilian encrypted transmission platform with low-grade security. It was a national security group of principals who were gathered to plan and approve the targets to be hit in air attack and on the Houthi capital to kill Houthi leadership. This is at a public restaurant, albeit a private room, on a non-secure line that included a number of officials not preset at the Palm Steakhouse. What do these chaotic incidents mean for Trump? What is the scoop? Clearly rattled, President Trump declared today that the uproar is a witch hunt. Actually, he may be right, but the witches are his own men. It is a planned and organized operation to destroy his ability to govern with an unqualified, deficient officials using and exposing his administration's own national security mistakes to do so. Soon it will add up to a loss of legitimacy and respect, limiting his ability to make decisions and make them stick. The Pentagon is not doing what it would normally do, advise the Secretary of Defense of the danger of his actions and possibilities of leaks. That could be very damaging. That his cavalier actions regarding secret war plans puts him in grave danger. Instead, they have put him on his own in a jungle with predators he doesn't know. It's not pretty. He is obviously hated, not disliked, but hated for the disrespect and the firings without cause of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a command pilot, war hero, and aeronautical engineer, General C.J. Brown, an Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the first female chief of naval operations. They let Hegseth make obvious but critical mistakes, then allow him to be leaked for clandestinely disclosed. It's like the proverbial ducks in a barrel, and President Trump is having a meltdown in the Oval Office. What a surprise. Another update, a thank you, and a request. So ends another whirlwind of days with an unbelievable series of mistakes by the Trump National Security Team. They are too lazy or lame to appreciate the need for security in their new roles. And the devilish ghost of Mark Felt has appeared, guiding the press to expose an ugly national security team that can't shoot straight. To business out of 3,384. Oh, okay, that's about subscribers. And then he says he's grateful for everyone who responded. Okay, I won't read all that. So, again, he does have 2 more follow-up articles on here about this. So I just found it very interesting, and I'm hoping beyond hope that he's right. It really does make sense. And I've always, I keep saying, like, in my mind, thinking like, what can we do to take this administration down? Like, what can we do? He seems untouchable. He's gotten away with everything. And he hasn't gotten away with everything. I'm just saying how he even got into the presidency is, after he incited an insurrection and everything that he's done and all the crimes he's committed, and he seems untouchable. And I always said to myself, if anybody's going to be able to do it, it'll be the military. And apparently they really do not like Pete Hegseth at all because of what he's done. And so they're not helping him at all. They're just like letting cook. So we'll see what happens, but I do recommend. I'm going to link the article, and once you read it, you'll be on his page, and then you can read the other two because he has two more on there where he's following up on this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But it does give me some hope if there are some people on the inside doing these things purposely, because I love it. I mean, we all knew they were inadequate and unqualified, but to see it right in front of your face like that, sweet justice. So anyway, hope this gives you all hope, and I hope everybody has a good night. And please like and please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot, and I appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye-bye.